Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Family Gamers Podcast. This is episode 397.
Hey, hello, everybody. We are super excited to bring another one of these things to you. This week, we are going to talk about PAX East, which is different from PAX Unplugged. They have different stuff there, but we're going to talk about some of the things that we saw and, some things like that.
Yeah.
But, of course, that is a second half of the show kind of thing. First half of the show kind of stuff is facts, sponsors, what we've been playing, maybe welcoming some new people in the Family Gamers community, all sorts of crazy stuff like that.
And maybe telling them who we are.
Oh, yeah. Hey, everybody. We are the Family Gamers. As always, I'm your host, Andrew, and I am joined by my lovely and wonderful and much more intelligent wife, Anitra.
I don't know if I'm more intelligent, but I'll take the compliment.
Yeah,
Thank
you
you.
are.
That's
you are.
me.
And we all know it. By every measurable statistic, you are smarter than I am. Anyway. All right. Speaking of dumb things, like me, here's my fact for episode 397. Are you ready?
Sure.
I'm back on the Guinness Book of World Records website, and at the top, the headline is, "There's not many downsides," says the man with the world's longest tongue.
Oh, my goodness.
All right, so the average tongue is 3.3 inches long.
Okay.
The average man's tongue is 3.3 inches long.
That's pretty long.
Nick Stoberl from Salinas, California, has the world's longest tongue for a male at 10.1 centimeters or 3.97 inches long.
Okay, man. All right.
That's a long tongue. Apparently longer than Gene Simmons' tongue, but who knows?
Who knows?
So, anyway, he does look a lot like Gene Simmons when he sticks that thing out.
I bet.
Weird. Very weird. But that's our fact for the episode 397. 3.97 inches, the longest tongue in the world.
Well, I think we also have a message from our sponsor.
Mm-hmm.
During these difficult times, it can be hard to know what you can do to be part of the solution. One of the best things you can do is provide resources for people who are already doing the kind of work you want to support. But did you know that not all charities are created equal? An example was the Wounded Warrior Project. They have improved significantly in the last 5 years or so, but before 2016, they spent about 50% of their donations on overhead, while other veterans charities were spending more like 10%. This upset a lot of people because the cause is a worthy one, and to use money that was meant for wounded vets on parties and extravagance and marketing is just wrong. There are a lot of charities out there, and some do a better job of putting their money to work than others. If you want to make sure that your donations are being put to good use, you need to do just a little bit of digging. CharityNavigator.org is a really good website for checking on a charity before making a donation. It can even help you find other similar charities that might be more worthy of your consideration. If you'd like to have a free conversation to help you understand how to do some due diligence on a charity before making a donation, go to firstmovefinancial.com/familygamers and schedule a 15-minute phone call.
All right. Thanks so much to the team at First Move Financial for continuing to sponsor the Family Gamers podcast. So, Anitra, let's talk a little bit about some games that we've been playing. What do you think of that?
I think we should do that.
Okay. You know, almost everything on my list is a fairly short, casual game. Something easy to drop in, drop out, stuff like that.
Yep.
So I have lots of plays of Flip 7, Smug Owls, Caution Signs. We haven't really talked about Caution Signs that much on the show. And then some Disney Lorcana Gateway.
And Another Man's Treasure, which I think will be our snap review for this episode. You said Flip 7. I, at PAX, played a bunch of Combo and Patchwork. So those are all good time.
There is another game that I played from the maker of Trio and Combo, which is Happy Camper, of course, that I do want to talk about once we get to talking about kind of our experiences at PAX East, but I didn't want to table that until we were ready.
Yeah, I have a couple of games that I was introduced to at PAX East, so why don't I talk about ones that were not part of a bigger event?
Sure.
I learned how to play The Gang, actually with your sister and her fiancé.
Yeah, that game is cool. I've played it before.
Wow, I did not think I was going to like it as much as I did.
Okay.
It really is. It's Texas Hold'em poker, but cooperative, which does not make any sense, but it works. Everyone is trying to make the best poker hand they can, just like in a combo or something like that. But the goal of the game is not just to, make a good poker hand. The goal of the game is to figure out how to communicate amongst the group who has the best hand, who has the second best hand, all the way down to who has the worst hand, and rank them in order. If you get them ranked correctly without directly communicating what's in your hand, of course, then you win the round. You need to win 3 times before you lose 3 times in order to win the game.
Mm-hmm.
And so as long as you understand the rules of poker already and like Texas Hold'em, it makes a ton of sense. It's really easy to get into. And the deduction part was not as hard as I thought it was going to be because of the tools provided in the game, which is you're doing these little poker chips to indicate who's got the best, who's got the worst, and rank everybody. But you do that 4 times over the course of a round, and only the 4th one actually counts for winning or losing.
Right.
So after you get dealt your 2 cards, everybody hashes out, oh, I've definitely got a strong hand. I'm going to take the highest number. Oh, man, my hand is terrible. I'm going to take the lowest number. And that's about all you can communicate. And we had a lot of fights, usually between like 2nd and 3rd place or last place and 3rd place, and switching around. But as more cards come out and you get to do this over and over again with the poker chips, you also see people be like, oh, never mind. Nope, I thought I could do a thing and I can't. Like, I am not in good shape. Please give me a lower number.
Yep.
With that amount of communication, it's really fun to kind of lock in with each other and make those predictions.
Well, because you have 4 data points at that point. By the time you're at the end of it, you've got 3 and you're kind of generating the 4th data point, plus all of the cards that are the shared cards in the middle of the board. So
we did run into one weird thing when I think 3 out of the 4 players were technically tied on the final hand.
That's so weird. What are the odds? Did you all have pairs or something?
No, it was because all of the stuff that would have made a good poker hand was the river in the middle of the table.
Gotcha. Okay.
And everybody had crap in their hands.
Yeah, okay.
And it turns out in that situation, if you are genuinely, truly tied, like not even high card, able to make a distinction, then you can treat it like a tie. Like one person can arbitrarily be 2nd, one person can arbitrarily be 3rd, and it doesn't matter.
I see. Okay. And then if you, I guess, assigned your
If you assigned your tokens appropriately, then
sure.
Then
you would do it in a way that, maximally supports the group because it's a cooperative game.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I played a game at PAX that is not out yet. This is a game from Happy Camper. I got permission to talk about it and take a picture of the box.
Ooh.
So I have that. It is a game called Jungo. It is coming out later this year. I have played games like this before. So in Jungo, you have a start player. They will play out a card from their hand. And every subsequent person that plays out a card has to play out something higher. And that could be if the first person plays a single 2, we'll say. The next person can either play a 3 or better, or 2 of the same card.
So like 2 2s.
Or even 2 1s, because 2 1s is still more than 1 2. Because 2 cards is more than 1 card.
Sure. Right? And
you just keep going up until everybody eventually has to pass. There's more nuance to the game. So first of all, there are certain cards that are like split. So there's like a card that's a 7 or an 8, which is kind of cool.
Okay.
I don't remember the rules exactly, but there are times when you can pick up the top card of the discard pile and keep it in your hand.
Okay.
And you might want to do that strategically because it would create a pair that you could then use later.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really interesting game in that it's got Happy Camper DNA all over it, right? It very much feels like the kind of game like a trio or a combo where you can really quickly teach it to people. It is almost completely cards. I think it is completely cards. It's really super easy to understand, and it scales well to a very high player count. So that was Jungo. Definitely keep your eyes peeled for that one from Happy Camper.
Do you want to talk about Cantankerous Cats, which is a game we played at home?
Sure. This is a game that I did not write down, probably because I think I was a little disappointed with this game.
Yeah, well, so I think having only played it once so far, and it is going to be a review game, so we're going to play it a bunch more times.
Yes, we are. And Anitra crushed us, by the way.
We played the basic version of this game, which is mostly luck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in this game, you are trying to build up your hearts, which is, I don't know, comfort, cuddles, whatever it is. I don't know.
Yeah.
So that you can then spend them to do mischief.
Yeah, basically everybody is a house cat, and you're trying to preload your like affection with your owner so that then you can accomplish mischief and not get kicked out of the house.
Yeah, affection is your currency that you pay in order to accomplish mischief, and mischief are your victory points.
Yes.
Is a very basic way to look at it. And when Anitra says this game seems like it's an awful lot of luck, it's because it pretty much boils down to like, what cards are you drawing that are going to give you the maximal affection to mischief ratio? And you kept drawing these cards which were like 1 affection for 2 mischief, which is just a crazy ratio.
Yeah.
And the other people that were playing were just, we couldn't touch it. It was just, there was nothing we could do.
Yeah.
So there is a more complex version of this game that has you can do certain things to like make other people go feral.
Yes, you can make other players' cats go feral, and then mischief doesn't mean anything for them, and they're instead trying to amass affection so that they can either win straight up through affection or by getting readopted and becoming a tame cat again who can then do mischief.
Right. So this is, is it a reskin of an old game, or is it just purely a remake of an old game called Cantankerous Cats?
It's just a remake. According to Board Game Geek, this is the 3rd edition.
Okay. It feels like an old game.
Yeah.
So obviously right now we're sounding a little down on it. I think, we'll play it some more and we'll be able to give it kind of a more measured assessment. But that's Cantankerous Cats.
I will say it's nicely thematic.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's super cute. Yeah.
Like, not just super cute, but like, I really got the feeling of being a cat and being like, oh, look at me be so sweet. And now I'm going to go knock this bowl on the floor. Oh, wasn't me. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
I'm so cute.
It's got that whole like scratch my belly for affection, but secretly mischief kind of thing. It's got a lot of things where if you're a cat person or you're familiar with a lot of the kind of cat meme things or the general cat thoughts, you'll be like, yep, I recognize that. Yep.
Yeah. And it did it without being overly cutesy or meme-y. So, like, this is a game I definitely could have played with my mom, who is a huge cat person but knows nothing about internet culture, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've played other games that had cats and just leaned a little bit too hard into lolcat stuff, and she didn't get it.
Sure.
So this is not that. I liked the art. I liked the feel of it. I'm looking forward to trying the more advanced mode, even though it's going to be way meaner.
It's good. Yeah. So this is a game where if you have people in your family who are sensitive, you're going to want to be careful, because this is the kind of game where you pretty much have to be mean. You just have to. There's nothing we can say about that. And if the people in your family don't like being mean in games, you're going to struggle.
Yeah. We also played some more Ultimatch, you and me. This makes a pretty decent restaurant date game kind of thing, because there's brain power involved, but it's not a ton. Like, it's an easy game to have a conversation over.
Yep.
And we lost horribly.
Yeah, we didn't do very well at all.
I have never had a game of Ultimatch where we could not make a single Ultimatch the entire game.
Yep.
And that's what happened. But that's the luck of the draw. And unlike Cantankerous Cats, this is a short enough, small enough game that it was frustrating, but I'm going to be happy to go back and do it again, because I know it couldn't possibly be worse the next time. We'll do better. We'll do better the next time.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's pretty much it. We really haven't been playing any bigger games. We did get the game Hutan in for review, so that's something that I'm hoping to get to the table pretty soon.
Yeah, that and more Tariki, I hope.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. So,
well, the school year is winding down, so maybe we'll have time to do that.
Yeah, well, like our evening events are wrapping up, and we actually have some free time these days. It's crazy.
3 concerts this weekend, and then we go down to, I think, fewer than 1 a week. Hooray!
All right. Well, why don't we take a quick break? You're going to hear the Snap review for Another Man's Treasure. Then when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the coolest things that we saw at PAX East. We're going to go into some interviews. We have 4 or 5 interviews, and then we'll wrap up the show. How does that sound?
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
All right. We'll be right back. So everyone knows the old saying, one man's trash
is another man's treasure.
Yes, but this is 2025, so maybe the ladies want in on the secondhand action.
This one is for the whole family when you're trading heirlooms back and forth in Another Man's Treasure. And that's our Snap review for today.
Another Man's Treasure is a hand management set collection game for 2 to 6 players published by Grandpa Beck's Games. The box says family members as young as 7 can play, and the game should last about half an hour. Just like any possible hand-me-down you can think of, Another Man's Treasure's art starts with the plaid.
All of the cards have a wonderful 80s style orange plaid on the back, and I've got to say, without infringing on some IP, they've done a pretty good job with some of these illustrations. And these items, let's face it, we've seen our parents and aunts and uncles try to foist these things on unwilling participants.
And grandparents, yeah,
And
all of them.
Yeah.
I love how some of them even relate to each other. For example, here's the pool table. The text is a quote from Mona, who says, "This was not what I had in mind when Paul asked if I wanted to host pool parties."
And then you've got this cute flower. Paul writes, "I bought this for Mona to apologize for the pool table."
And below that, Mona replies, "It didn't work."
So there's a lot of cute tongue-in-cheek graphic design in this game, even if it's not the kind of game that gives you fantastical landscapes or imaginary creatures.
I mean, look at the cover of this rulebook.
But how do you play this game?
Every player starts with 8 cards in their hand and one of these little score sheets. The score sheet has 5 classic game patterns listed on it. 2 sets of 4,
2 suited runs of 4,
1 suited run of 4 and 1 set of 4,
1 suited run of 8,
and 4 suited pairs. Each round, players are going to want to try to get one of these sets of 8 cards into their hand.
Play starts to the left of the dealer, and basic play is simple. Draw a card, either from the deck or the top of the discard pile, play a complete set if you can, and then discard a card.
When a player discards a card, anyone at the table can say,
"Can I have that?"
At this point, the player who's about to have their turn can say they want it and take the discarded card for free. But if they pass, it goes around the table clockwise until it gets to the player who asked for it. Each person along the way has the chance to take that top card from the discard pile instead. But if they do, they also take a card from the top of the deck.
In addition to trying to play a set of 8 cards that matches a game pattern, players can also play cards off patterns they or another player had played previously.
Once someone runs out of cards after discarding their final card, the round immediately ends. Everyone else can put down a partial game pattern, if they're able to, and score the rest of the cards in their hand. Basic treasures score 5 points, and wilds score either 10 or 15.
If a player played an 8-card pattern or a partial pattern because someone went out, and there are rules for these in the rulebook, they must cross out the pattern they used from their score sheet, and they can never use it again in this game.
Points are bad in this game. You want the lowest score you can. After this, the dealer moves to the player to the left, and you go again. The basic game has 5 rounds.
There's also a progressive play variant on the backs of the scorecards, but we'll leave you to find out about that for yourself.
Whoever has the lowest total score wins.
So we come into most Grandpa Beck's games with some expectations, I think, and I'll start. First off, their games are usually based in some way on standard card games, especially if the game is a box of cards.
Like this one.
This particular game relies on tried and true mechanics like hand management and set collection, so in this way, I expected Another Man's Treasure to feel very familiar. It did. I also expected that woven into these familiar mechanics would be those moments when the whole table erupts, just like we see in Skull King, which is another Grandpa Beck's title.
I thought from reading about it that this game would be a little bit like Rummy. But once I dug into the rules, it didn't quite line up with that idea, so I struggled for a while to understand what was going on here. And that leads to our surprises.
Yeah, so the game does have twists and turns. Because of the fact that you're playing sets of cards in order to not score those cards, it actually takes a couple of rounds to wrap your brain around that idea. I also really loved the idea that you're gradually reducing your own flexibility over the course of 5 rounds. You choose the sets to eliminate. You choose whether or not to compile a huge hand of cards. You choose the times when it's not worth it to score something partially because that game pattern might be too valuable to go halvesies on and only get partial benefits from it.
Yeah, trying to make a set of 8 cards with exactly 8 cards in your hand was a real struggle for me. Saying, "Can I have that?" and taking more cards gives you flexibility to work on more than one kind of set. But then it leaves you with extra cards to play even if you do make that 8-card set work. There ended up being a lot more to the decisions in this game than I expected. Sometimes it's worth it to be able to get most of the cards out of your hand and still score a few points at the end of a round.
Another Man's Treasure is a great option for a game to take out if your family only plays games with regular playing cards and you just want to mix it up.
Just something different.
And if you're playing with multiple generations, I suspect you'll run into more than a few situations when you throw down Grandma's canner and you have your own story to tell about your own family's weird kitchen gadgets.
We're going to rate Another Man's Treasure 3.5 treasures out of 5.
And that's Another Man's Treasure
In a snap.
And we're back.
All right, let's talk about PAX East. So you went for the first 2 days.
I did.
I went for day 3, and I brought Asher with me.
You were a wonderful parent holding down the fort so I could be gone for a full, almost 40 hours from when I left the house until when I came back to the house the next
and
evening.
nothing burned down. I want
Nothing
everybody
went
to know
wrong.
Our kids were fed. They still live at home. We're good.
Yeah. So PAX East is enjoyable, but I definitely get a little overwhelmed because PAX East has a lot of video games. A lot.
It does.
However, some of those video games are really cool, and they do have a pretty good board game presence as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's no PAX Unplugged, right?
Oh,
Which is a
of course
board game focused convention. But they do have a tabletop section, and they do have some tabletop stuff kind of woven in with the smaller video game stuff. It's kind of
Yes.
in an area of the video game area, but it's definitely part of the same grouping.
Yeah. For anyone who is thinking about going to PAX East in the future, there's tabletop stuff all over the place, and the distinction really is the folks running the booths, whether they want to be in the part of the hall that stays open till midnight, or if they want to be in the part of the hall where everything closes at 6 p.m.
Right.
That said, I had a great time. I saw a lot of cool things, including if your kids have played Ultimate Chicken Horse, the video game, there's a new game coming out from the same folks called Ultimate Sheep Raccoon. All the same kind of wacky zaniness getting in each other's way, except now it's a racing game instead of a sort of brawling platformer.
You described it kind of like a 2D, like Excite Bike
Yes,
style
it's
game.
like an Excite Bike
Yeah.
style, but you're putting obstacles in that, might hit other people, might hit you your next time through. It gets really weird, but definitely fun.
All right. Let's see. What do I want to talk about? I will talk about a video game thing first, which
Okay.
will have some potential reaching into board game things, maybe. And this is something called Ludocene. Ludocene. So Andy Robertson does some family game stuff online. It's really focused on the video game space, and there was kind of a family game zone, which was a separate room where people could go in, and there was just some open play on video games and stuff like that. And he showed me this thing called Ludocene, which there is a Kickstarter for this, so if you look it up, Ludocene, you should be able to find the Kickstarter. Basically, the easiest way to think about this is that it is almost like Tinder for video games.
Okay.
So one of the things that's really cool about this, so obviously it's got the whole, swipe left, swipe right thing. You can swipe on which video games you like, and it'll algorithmically make more recommendations for you, which is kind of cool. There's also a thing where you can add an expert. So there's a bunch of people with kind of preloaded lists of video games that they like, and you can add one of them, and it'll kind of seed the selections that it shows you based on that video game reviewer or whatever, and this type of things that they like.
Sure.
What Andy told me was that if there is enough interest, they would do a board game version.
Cool.
It actually already exists. I don't know any of the details about the link or anything for it, but it is something that is absolutely possible. It's obviously not quite as well populated as the video game one, since that's his core expertise. But if this is something that's interesting, I can certainly reach out to him. If people tell me they're like, oh, I really want this, I'll definitely let him know. So that is Ludocene. That was a pretty cool thing that I saw at PAX East.
Cool. Would you say that was the coolest thing you saw?
No. The coolest thing I saw is something that we have an interview for second half of the show.
Okay.
And that is pencil. I say it like that because it is pencil exclamation point. It is an augmented reality application that you can buy if you have an Oculus Quest 3, Meta Quest 3 or Meta Quest 3S.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about it, or do you want to let people find out about it during the interview?
I tried it too, and I agree that was really cool. It's on my list of top 2 things that I saw that were really cool.
It's bananas. I was waiting for Asher to finish his second drawing with it, and I was talking to some passersby about how cool it was, and I was like explaining it and stuff, and one of them looked at Ian, the guy that I interviewed, and was like, you should be paying him. Because I don't know.
It's really cool.
When I get excited about something, I can be a hype man.
I will also say it's one of the few virtual reality like headset enabled applications that I have tried that has not left me feeling queasy. And it's because it's an augmented reality thing. You still see everything around you. You just see an overlay on top of it.
Yeah. It's very, very neat. Just to give a little teaser, basically it is drawing lessons, and you have a real pencil and a real piece of paper, and it overlays the picture that you're drawing and kind of shows you like, okay, trace here. And it gives you explanations of like maybe how to move the pencil or how to change some things. And it literally is giving you step-by-step instructions on how to draw something with the overlays. And then when you take the thing off, when you're done, you actually have something that you drew.
Yes.
It's very, very cool. And, you'll listen to the interview, second half of the show. Yeah. Super, super neat. That's Pencil XR, or Pencil, which is what I like to call it.
So the coolest thing I saw other than Pencil, which was very cool, I stumbled upon, way set apart from anything else I was looking at. I went in the accessibility room, which had some other name, and stumbled upon Braille dice. We've got a whole audio interview about them too, but I cannot emphasize just how cool these things were, because they were not dice that have had Braille added. They were dice designed with Braille in mind. They did not have printed numbers on them, just Braille. And they looked cool as heck.
So you do a thing at PAX. I basically never do this, but you do it all the time, which is playing in tournaments.
So I don't do it all the time.
You do it more than I do.
Yes, but that's not all the time. A couple of years ago at PAX East, I knew I was going to be able to stay late into the evening. And so I was like, you know what? I will give this tournament a shot. I don't remember now if it was Thursday Night Throwdown or Friday Night Frenzy, but it's a board game tournament in which you have no idea what the games are going to be until you show up. And it's going to be multiple small games. This is now one of my favorite things to do because no one knows going in, and it's very likely that these games are going to be new to everybody. So it's a tournament where nobody has expertise because everybody's playing games they've never played before.
Which is fun.
It's just fun. It is a tournament just for fun. This year, when I did it, the way the Thursday Night Throwdown was structured was literally they split us into groups of 4, and then they said, okay, each group of 4 is going to play 4 games to determine a winner of your group to go on to the finals. Here's a big table full of games. Go send someone from your group up to pick one. So that evening, I learned Schrodinger's Cats, which had a lot of luck to it, but a decent amount of strategy. Lumberjacks with rocket launchers, which was mostly luck. Frozen Shinies, the Emperor Penguin's Nephew, which had almost no luck at all. And a game that I had played only once before was my selection, Mountain Goats. I'm going to say of these, Mountain Goats and Schrodinger's Cats were both a ton of fun. Learning them, walking through playing them with a bunch of other people who also had never played them before. And we had a great time.
That's good. I mean, that's kind of the most important part, right?
That's the goal.
Actually enjoy yourself. So.
Right.
So did you win?
I did not win.
Wah, wah.
I won 1 out of the 4 games that our group played, and somebody else won 2. So they were the winner. But bolstered by this, I decided on Friday that I would wander over to the table where they give out tickets for the tabletop tournaments and see what was available. And so I ended up signed up for a Patchwork tournament and a 7 Blunders tournament.
Oh no, what is that?
So Patchwork was exactly what it sounds like, and that was also very low-key and very fun until the very final round. The first 2 people I played, one had never played Patchwork before at all, and the other one, it had been over a year since the last time he played, so he was like, just help me refresh on the rules here a little bit. So I did, and I played well, and, advanced up. In round 3, I played someone who actually knew what they were doing, and it was a close game, but he won.
Okay.
And then that guy sat down with the other guy who had won 3 rounds, and it was going to be the championship, and the 2 of them pulled out notebooks and got real serious real fast.
Wow. Okay.
But I see this as an example. Until the final round, everything was low-key and fun, and we were talking to each other and whatever. So don't think that entering a board game tournament is always going to be super serious and ultra competitive.
Sure.
7 blunders. 7 blunders is you play 7 wonders, except everyone is trying to get the lowest possible score. There are a couple of guardrails around what you can and can't do. Like if you can take a card and build a card, then you're not allowed to turn in any cards for money.
I see.
So there are a couple of guardrails to keep you from throwing the game. But it was even more fun than I've had playing 7 Wonders in a large group in person, because our group ended up with 7 people.
Is that a bad sign? If you have more fun playing the blunder version?
Well, so there's 2 reasons why. One is this is the first time I've played in person with the newer edition of the game.
Okay.
The cards are a little smaller, the labels are clearer, just everything about the physical experience of it was a little bit nicer than the versions I've played with in the past. But secondly, again, because this is 7 blunders, we ended up with a lot of, like, near the end of the rounds, handing cards off to the next person and be like, I'm so sorry, but you got to take one of these.
Yeah.
Here you go.
Sure.
I'm handing you a handful of junk. Enjoy. It was just really fun. It was also fun at the end of the tournament to see just how low people were able to go and kind of marvel at that. Like, wait a minute, you got less than 18 points? How did anyone get less than 18 points in this game? Things like that. So it was a lot of fun. I highly recommend that if you want to play more tabletop games, entering tournaments like this is a great way to do it. It really is. Like, other than this, I was kind of wandering around being like, well, I know I have some friends here somewhere, but they're all busy and I feel kind of lonely, and there's only so much Family Gamers interviews I can do in one day.
Right, sure.
And so tournaments really filled that void and gave me that fun sit down at the table experience that I have not had as much of recently.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm, glad that you have those things. I mean, for me, going, you'll hear the interviews in a bit, but you did 4, I did 1, and that was really because I kept being like, Escher, we're here for you. Where do you want to go? What do you want to see? What do you want to do? We went over to the Happy Camper booth, obviously,
Sure.
and Jason at Happy Camper talked Asher into doing demos for him for an hour so his other booth staff could take a break. So Asher now has a trio shirt, which was, just classic. I mean, it was just so
beautiful,
on brand.
beautiful.
But that was really fun. I don't know that I saw a lot of other crazy things or anything like that. You'll hear second half in the interviews. Modern Meeple is making a board game bag.
Yeah, it looks really
cool.
It looks cool.
I'm really excited for that. I don't know, what the price point on that thing is going to be or anything like that. But I mean, I got to see Caution Signs, which I mentioned that we played. This is a game from Danielle Reynolds and Scott Brady, who are two, at this point, fairly well-known up-and-coming designers.
Yeah, I would say.
You get an adjective and a noun, 2 halves of like a caution sign, I guess. And you have 20 seconds to draw whatever that thing is. And it's very much like a So Clover kind of a thing, where you have 20 seconds to draw it, and the judge rotates around the table, so the judge is not drawing something. And so then everybody puts all their stuff, all of their adjectives and nouns in face down, and they're all mixed up, and you add a couple extra ones, and then everything is submitted, and the judge kind of has to tease everything out and figure out what everybody drew. I think everybody got everything right when we played it.
In the game we played, and we didn't mind that it was a 5-way tie.
Right.
Because we had so much fun.
Yeah. So when your thing gets guessed correctly, like you get a certain number of points and the guesser gets a certain number of points. So it's kind of cooperative, but kind of not cooperative. The points and the way the points are allocated is the only thing about the game that's not cooperative. Everybody wants to be successful, which is a nice thing about this game.
Yeah, we've played some other games like that, and it's a really nice feel that all you're competing on is you want to do the best you can, and you want everybody else to do well, but maybe slightly less well than you.
So PAX was fun. I didn't make it to, there was a panel that we kind of were going to go to, but then it ended up being capped, which was the Magic the Gathering Final Fantasy panel, where they had Final Fantasy stuff. I mean, they've been doing a lot of these kind of IP crossover things.
Yeah.
Apparently they were like chucking PAX into the crowd too. So real bummer on that one, but that's okay. I mean, it's just a mishmash of a lot of nerd stuff at PAX East, right? It's mostly video games, a little bit of board game stuff. We bought a pin from the Cuphead show to give to Elliot.
Okay,
which was pretty fun. And then, like things like pencil. You never really know what you're going to run into.
There's a lot of, I'll say, generic nerd stuff at PAX East that I don't necessarily see in other conventions. Like there was a whole booth. I don't know what the booth was actually called, but they had a hashtag on it, which was cosplaying ducks. It was like rubber ducks, but there were rubber ducks of Ghostbusters and Minions and Batman and Batman villains and just like on and on and on it went.
Yeah, I don't know if it's because PAX Prime, which is the one in Seattle, and PAX East have been
They call
around.
it PAX West now.
Oh, it's PAX West now?
Yes.
Whatever. I don't know if it's because those two have been around for so much longer that they feel a little bit more like a celebration of all things geek, right? Than like an Unplugged does, which is like, this is a board game convention. But even Unplugged has a little bit of that aspect. Like you'll see cosplayers at PAX Unplugged, but not like you'll see at PAX East.
Right, exactly. Well, and I think the same thing is true of Magic. You'll see plenty of Magic the Gathering at PAX Unplugged, but honestly, the area for that at PAX East was bigger than what I've seen at PAX Unplugged.
Right. Yeah.
They had a whole hallway for tabletop RPGs that are not D&D at PAX East.
Yeah. I mean, they have that
all
at
that
Unplugged
kind of
too.
stuff.
There's an RPG hall.
There is a
at
whole
PAX
RPG
Unplugged,
hall
so it's not
Unplugged as well.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. We do have that as well. But yeah, it very much smacks of more of that kind of general like celebration of all things geek. Pretty much right on the show floor. It's actually kind of wedged between the video game hall and the tabletop stuff is like the arena where there's 200 chairs and you watch people competing in video game tournament.
Yeah,
stuff.
there's a whole esports.
Yeah, it's a whole esports thing, which is
Yeah.
totally not my speed at all.
Yeah, no.
But
Mine
no,
either.
there's just a lot of different categories of nerd stuff
Yes.
at PAX East.
Speaking of which, one more thing I need to mention. If you, listener, have looked at our YouTube channel or our TikTok, you have probably seen the video I posted a year or two ago with BioShop Infinite, the nerdy video game themed barbershop quartet. And I got to see them actually perform on a stage in concert this year. They were opening for another group, so they only did 5 songs, but it was really cool to see. And they stood up on the main stage, and one of the guys choked up a little bit to say, we first did this as just a musical cosplay in 2014, and it is amazing how far we have come.
Yeah, no, I mean, they're on the main stage. I mean, that was pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a very quick second break. You're going to hear all of our interviews. When we come back, we're going to welcome our new members. We'll do our back talk, and then we'll finish up the show.
All right, sounds good.
Okay.
Hi, I'm here with Lizzie from Choose Co. They're the publishers of the Choose Your Own Adventure books. I did not know that the first book, The Cave of Time, is now being reprinted and republished so that everyone can enjoy it again. But there's a ton more.
Yes, hi everybody, this is Lizzie. The Cave of Time was the first book that Bantam published in the original print run of the Choose Your Own Adventure series, and ChooseCo has been bringing those series back since the mid-2000s. At this point, we have over 100 books in print, and in some of them you can go to space, in others you can go into the depths of the ocean, in some you can go back in time, forwards in time, and explore the Himalayas, or join up with the ant people and fight against the evil Power Master. Don't quote me. I forget. I feel like the ant people are bad. They're bad. But anyways, there's all sorts of zany, crazy ways to explore our books, and we are so psyched for The Cave of Time to be hitting stores this August, and I'm just glad to have met you.
Yeah, so we were talking quickly and said that there are over 100 Choose Your Own Adventure books in print right now, and you might not be aware of that because they're not always available in stores. So you should go and look, and you can find a Choose Your Own Adventure book that you will like, that your kids will like, and everybody will enjoy it.
Yes. So you can find us at www.cyoa.com, and that's where we have all of the books that we have in print, and you can shop them at every store that sells books.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
It is day one of PAX East, and I am here with Ted from Sage Stones. Well, technically from TNT Laserworks, but their game is Sage Stones. So tell me how that came about.
So Sage Stones is based on a game that I used to play as a kid with my family. When my kids got old enough that I wanted to play the game with them, the copy that we had back in the old farmhouse had completely deteriorated and was no longer able to be played.
Moldy, gross.
Exactly, moldy, gross. So I was like, okay, I need to make my own version. Now, because the cardboard version melted in my house, I was like, I want something that my kids can play. So it was not enough to just make another cardboard version of the game. I wanted to make something that lasts. So we ended up making this heirloom quality version of it that's made out of solid wood, hand-poured resin. This thing will be around forever. This is marine-style resin on here, so it's meant for boats.
It's gorgeous, by the way.
Thank you very much. And so we decided to do this, and instead of making them all blue, we decided to make different colors and have fun with it. We also made different designs for it. We have a new design coming out at Origins, so there'll be a third version of this, and we're going to retire the dragons. So we're not going to make the dragons anymore after this year.
So right now there's a Celtic dragon design and a North American sort of map design, which has ships and a compass rose and stuff on it.
Oh yeah, and dragons. Don't forget dragons.
Oh yeah,
we got
here
sea
be dragons. Yeah.
So yes, so different versions of this. You know, we're already in development for like the next version that we're going to make, in 2026. So we're kind of having fun mixing it up. And then we started out with the boards, and we thought the boards would be really cool. People would like the boards. We realized they're expensive, but we're trying to make an art piece, and we thought that would be cool. But people really played the game, and they're like, you know what, we like the game. You don't need the art to sell the game. The game actually sells itself. So that's why we came up with a scroll version of the game. It's less expensive, but it also keeps kind of with our theme of we wanted the board to be like you're at the tavern. You're playing in world. You're sitting around with your friends in the old times playing this game. And so the scrolls kind of came about that. We didn't want to make cardboard. We wanted to make something a little more durable that lasts a little longer, so that's where the leather idea came from. And then the fact that it rolls up and makes it travel, it surprisingly makes it so people buy both the board and the travel version because they want to be able to have the cool display piece at home, but then they want to take it to their friend's house. And so it works out. So we do actually sell a lot of both to the same individuals, and it's kind of cool.
Both versions of this definitely feel like a premium game that you're going to be able to keep around for decades or generations.
That is absolutely the plan. The number one thing was make it high quality so it lasts. And then, oh, by the way, it's a fun game.
Yeah. It's a pretty simple game of rolling dice and then placing your piece out on the board on whatever number it is. And the goal is to get all your pieces out before anybody else. There's some capturing. There's some jockeying for position. It's definitely a game that even like a 4 or 5-year-old could play, although not necessarily well, but they could play it and enjoy it.
My 6-year-old daughter actually was very aggressive with her piece placement, and she won a lot.
I believe
it was not like there was... The strategy of attack is a valid strategy.
So you're going to be at PAX East. You already mentioned you're going to be at Origins later this year.
We're going to be at Origins.
Where else can people look for you?
We're going to be at Origins. We're going to the National Gaming Expo in Tampa, Florida.
Okay.
That's in early August. We have gaming tables at Gen Con, but we don't have a booth, just the gaming tables. And then we're at PAX Unplugged. I think that covers it. We have a smaller convention, Nova Open. That's like a tabletop wargaming convention. It's like 3,000 people, but it's in our backyard, so we go to that one every year.
So where's that one?
Washington, D.C.
Okay. And where can people find you online and see how beautiful these boards are?
Oh, we are tntlaserworks.com.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm here with Joe.
Hello.
Joe, tell us about your product.
How's it going? I'm part of the Dots RPG project. We're a 501c3 not-for-profit charity, and we have created Braille dice. So these are Braille-only polyhedral 7 sets of dice, and we're hoping to bring inclusivity and accessibility to tabletop gaming spaces.
This will be a different.
So they're really cool. It looks like you have an acrylic version and a metal version.
Yes, hollow metal.
Hollow metal. And you've got these cool set, D4 through D20.
Yep.
You've also been passing out these handy little cards with telling us what all the numbers are for dumb folks like me who don't read Braille. But this is a super cool initiative, and it brings a lot more people into the gaming space.
That's what we hope, anyway. But we're just trying to get them out in the world, get them in the hands of people who need them, or anyone who wants to learn a new skill, or have them in a DM kit for if they need them, or someone at their table might need them one day. They'll be available.
All right. Thank you very much.
No problem. Thank you.
I'm here with Josh from Modern Meeple, and we're going to talk about some of the new things they've got out this year. Josh?
How we doing? We've got our newest thing is the player one is the newest. Basically an individual player board, again modular, so different. You can put different trays, colors, whatever you want in it to suit your game.
Yep.
It's got a rail for cards, 2 slots for trays, and then these are for other bits. And then
And over here it looks like we got some new dice vaults.
yeah, so someone requested to have this more open so they can roll dice, or they can put like games that have little bits in it. And again, you can pick whatever color insert you want inside of it.
And it looks like those close up nice, so if you really do need it as a dice vault, there you go. Nothing's coming out.
Yep, and these also fit into...
Oh, fantastic. Everything's modular.
Yeah, everything's modular. And we have our gaming
season, of course.
Yep, that's our flagship product. And then we have the mini, same thing, smaller version.
Yep. And of course you got your big Dice Throne player boards over there, which hopefully lots of people will come see and buy.
Yes, this is something we're working on. This is a prototype, but we're working on a bag that's just for smaller games to carry around.
That's fantastic. I really like the form factor of that one.
Yeah, so not available yet, but just fine-tuning it, and then we'll probably send out an email blast or social media about the bag.
All right, stay tuned. Where can people find you online?
modernmeeple.com, Instagram, TikTok, all the socials is Modern Meeple.
Awesome. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody. It is PAX East on Saturday, and Anitra has made the recommendation that we stop by this booth, and I'm very glad we did. I am at the pencil exclamation point, I think, booth with Ian. Hello, Ian.
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. I'm Ian. I've been talking to a lot of people, so my voice is a little scratchy, but I'm super excited to talk to you all. Thanks for coming down to check out Pencil. Pencil is an app where we teach you how to draw with real paper and pencil, but the reference that you're drawing from, the guide for the art lesson, is all in augmented reality. So we can give a guide for you to draw like step-by-step art lessons, and you can draw a cartoon, a 2D reference, and you can follow step-by-step to draw in the eyes and the face and the hat and the glasses. And because it's in mixed reality and VR, we can also show a 3D representation. So we can bring in a 3D model that you can draw from perspective, like it from observation, and you can rotate and adjust the 3D model to look just how you want on your page, and then you can fill out the outline of the object and turn on the shading value so you can start to add in more details from there.
So it's completely insane, and while he's now just finished, but Asher, our 14-year-old, just had an opportunity to use it. So this is running on a Meta Quest 3,
yes.
Right?
It's available it's using the latest mixed reality features on the Quest headsets. So it's available on the Quest 3 and 3S, and will be available on future mixed reality headsets.
Right, and I think your co-conspirator over here was saying it has something to do with the color camera or something that's not on the 2, which is a bummer for me because that's what we have.
Yeah, and I definitely hear you there. We would love for it to be available on the 2, but because of we need the high quality color cameras to make it a good experience with drawing on the 3. I would stay tuned for hopefully new headsets coming out this year, because mixed reality is definitely like the future of the Quest ecosystem going forward.
Yeah, and I gotta say, looking at Asher's drawing here, I have never seen him draw so well in my life. So clearly it's effective. Do you want to say something?
Wow, Dad.
Okay, so this thing is very cool. So you said it's on the Quest 3 and 3S. Is it on other headsets too?
It's currently on Quest 3 and 3S for now. we are looking at porting to more mixed reality headsets as they come in the future. One of the other interesting things I've found about PAX is like a lot of people ask if we're on Steam, and we would like to be on Steam, but none of the Steam VR headsets support the mixed reality features that we need to make this possible. There are rumors, though, right now that there might be more headsets coming in the future that would enable this going forward. So we're excited by some of those possibilities.
Yeah, it's really cool. I mean, they're using the VR headset in an augmented reality use case, and they're not using the controllers at all. Everything is being done like with a real pencil and a real piece of paper.
Absolutely. That was like one of the core pieces of Pencil's design, is that we are working physically with the medium of drawing with paper and pencil. There's a few other really awesome options out there for drawing digitally, like using Tilt Brush and Figmin and Shapes-XR for doing like prototyping and SketchUp, and really good painting apps too, like Brushwork and Vermilion and Painting VR all have really good color simulation. And you can make an amazing painting. It's great to have a mess-free way to experiment with those art mediums. However, your artwork is stuck being digital. You could take it to the printer, but it's not quite the same. One of the things that's really amazing about Pencil is you get so immersed in mixed reality in the experience, when you take it off, it disappears, but you're left with your drawing that you still made, and you can even like hang it up on your wall or on your fridge to be able to look at later when you're not in the headset.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really, first of all, it's really cool. Second of all, it really reminds me of the analog of anybody who's using digital software to create images, but they've always got a reference image that maybe they're pulling it in and they're tracing it and they're doing some of that work digitally. This is almost the opposite of that.
Well, we try to have a variety of features where like the two halves of the app is the lesson mode, teaches you the fundamentals of drawing with paper and pencil, how to do line art, how to do shading, how to draw in perspective, how to draw faces, how to draw in different art styles. And we just put out an anime pack so you can learn how to go from like a base model into like a personalized character. And the other side of Pencil, not just the art lessons that are the fundamentals, we have free draw mode, which is like a tool for people to be able to draw. So we have 2D image import and 3D free draw. In the 2D image import, you can go to the web browser and look up any image and import it to the headset to trace it out and draw it. That could be from a Google Drive of pictures you want to draw. It could be a Discord server where you forward yourself pictures to download. That's what I prefer. But it could also just be Google Images and look up whatever character or something you want to draw, just drop it in. And you can import all those images and play with the arrangement, however looks good in the layout. And then when you're ready, you can start sketching it all in.
That's so cool. I cannot show this to my daughter. That is a new rule. However, for people who have a MetaQuest 3 or 3S, so they would just go to the Quest store to find it. How much does it cost? And what, like you mentioned, expansion packs. What do those things run?
We're available right now on the Quest store. It's $10. You can sign up on our website at pencil-xr.com. If you enter your email at the bottom of the webpage, we'll be sending out a discount code for PAX and more information when we release in the future. We'll be releasing in full this year around July. We're available right now in early access. We're adding more features to the app as we go. So we have about 42 lessons and climbing. We add a new art pack every few weeks that has more content to draw built in with new lessons. And we do have our first pack now for the anime pack. You can learn how to draw with different base styles, how to get different expression out of characters. Level up your skills to the next level.
That's awesome. You gotta have to like co-brand with IPs and stuff like that and really get some popularity going.
That is absolutely on the roadmap. We're actively in development right now, but as we're rounding the corner on some of the feature development, we are also looking to partner with other games and IPs that have appealing characters that people want to draw, to be able to bring that content here to make it so people have more fun drawing fun characters.
So what you're saying is next week you'll be able to draw Mickey Mouse?
I don't know if the lawyers can get it working within just a week, but we're going to try our best.
I'm only kidding.
We do look forward to partnering with all sorts of great companies out there and fun characters.
All right, awesome. Thank you, Ian. This has been amazing. Super fun to watch Asher be not terrible at drawing. I love you, buddy.
Practice. Thank you for coming down and drawing, checking it out.
He's not that bad. Very, very cool. Everybody out there, you really should check it out. What's the website again?
Check us out at pencil-xr.com.
All right, perfect. Thanks again. So that was some interviews from PAX East. That pencil thing, man.
So cool.
So cool. All right, we are going to welcome our new community members. We only have 3 this week.
We do.
But I will start us off by saying welcome to Corey.
Welcome to Greg.
And welcome to Karen.
We're so glad you're here.
You got a skunk. I don't know about that, Anitra.
His name is Flower. He's from Bambi.
I mean, I know, but still, whatever. Anyway, welcome to the community. Please feel free to drop in, talk about some games that you're playing with your kids or your families or the kids in your lives or whatever they might be.
Or to answer our next Backtalk question. Let's talk about 2 weeks ago Backtalk question.
Yes, so a couple weeks ago we talked about games that surprised us. So our Backtalk question, unsurprisingly, was what was your most surprising experience with a board game? On Facebook, Ryan Deloney responded and said, I found Regicide to be surprising, playing a really enjoyable cooperative boss battler using just a standard deck of cards.
Okay.
Pretty cool.
I've got a long one from Adrienne on Discord. She says, it's not a huge surprise, but I got Lure, the dice auction fishing themed game. And I'm not quite sure why, as I'm not usually a fan of auction games, but I'm glad I did, as it has been a hit. I think it's partly because the auction results not in a winner, but in deciding the turn order. So win or lose, everyone still gets to play. But her other surprise is not about a game, but what it taught her about what it means that a game is easy. I introduced Splendor to a family member. I know it's considered a lighter game, but this family member just didn't know what decisions to make. For her, there were so many options as you consider which cards you should try to go for and which tokens to pick. Nothing was obvious to her, and she was a bit frustrated. This taught me I need to select games where the decision space is more limited, and so far this has worked for her. I have not seen her as uncertain as she was with Splendor.
Yeah, that is a big thing. Analysis paralysis is something that, affects certain people and doesn't affect other people. And when you know that that's a problem that you or someone else that you're playing with might have, it's a good idea to avoid stuff like that. So good thinking.
And we normally don't think about that with what we call lighter or easy games, but it can still be a big issue.
Mm-hmm. Over on Facebook, Colleen Slaby says, Aaron, her husband, and I playtested a game at home a few years ago. He printed out the basic board of colored circles and the cards. It has become quite successful. I'm sure you have heard of it. It was Unmatched. It was a nice surprise to see it be published and become so popular.
Yeah, I'd say that's a pretty popular game.
Yeah, pretty much. We have a shelf for it.
Yeah, especially in Family Gamers Land.
Yeah.
Kristen on Discord says, a surprise for me was Fire Tower. I hate area control, but I played this game at a con and I loved it. There was just enough luck that I still found it enjoyable. Not to mention, the shiny gems are so fun.
So we talked about this a lot on the show. Asher, our 14-year-old, the one I made fun of in the pencil interview, loves Fire Tower. He originally found it back in 2017, I want to say, before it was even published.
He was a little kid.
Game Summit, and he was sitting there at 6 years old or however old he was at the time, I don't even know. And he was just looking for a game to play, and they were playing Fire Tower, and he sat down with Sam, who is one of the creators of the game, and played Fire Tower and beat him.
And beat all of the adults at the table.
Beat all of the adults at the table. And so every time there's been a Fire Tower Kickstarter, we have funded it at the Wall of Flame level. So if you look in your rule books, you will see Ash or Asher. Sometimes it says Asher and the Family Gamers, but we are in all of those because Ash loves that game so much. And shout out to Sam and Gwen of Runaway Parade. They did a really cool thing when the Rising Flames expansion was being fulfilled. They knew that the fulfillment on kind of a normal schedule would hit around the end of January to the beginning of February. And they were, as normal, were getting a couple of copies or a certain number of copies air freighted over. And they actually sent one of those to Asher. We had kickstarted the game, but they actually mailed over one of the air freighted copies to make sure that he got it for his birthday.
It was so sweet.
Which was super cool. I just want to talk about how awesome Sam and Gwen are for doing that. We didn't actually talk about it. We played some Smug Owls with the expansions.
Yes.
Which is something that you got at PAX East. And that's something, if we continue to play with those, we'll talk about it on the show. But I did get a chance to see Sam and Gwen at PAX East. And I told them that the universe was conspiring against us ever being able to crowdfund their next game, Punch Bowl, because they keep being about to bring it out to crowdfunding, and then something will happen. And this time it was literally the president of the United States. So I don't know.
Yes.
The game is never coming out, and it's totally not their fault. But I love Sam and Gwen and Runaway Parade. They're just great people.
Everything they put out has a lot of thought behind it, which
absolutely
it shows.
Back on Facebook, Peter Schott says, I'm often surprised if my wife is willing to try a new game, and then she likes it. Does that count?
I mean, I would say that counts.
I guess. It's a surprise. Sure. Why not?
And I've got one last one from JP DeCoss. He says, I'm going to go with kids' table board gaming, Fossilis, as a surprise. I backed the Kickstarter without paying much attention to what was inside the box, aside from dinosaurs. So when I set it up for the first time and realized that the fossils were hiding under layers of the board that we had to mechanically dig out, my mind was literally blown.
There you go.
That is the coolest part of that game.
Pretty cool game.
Yeah.
Yeah. And David Diaz, the guy who made it, is a pretty cool dude. So
yeah.
I went to the, not the Colonel Sanders. What's Colonel Sanders' wife's name?
I don't remember.
Like Betty or something. Betty Sanders. It's not Betty. I don't know what it is.
But
anyway, we went when Gam Expo was in Kentucky last year. We went to that restaurant and had food, and it was really good. The big thing I remember was not the chicken, but I picked up one of the rolls, and I looked at Dave and I said, oh man, these rolls feel delicious. So anyway, all right, new back talk question. We're talking about PAX East this week. Question for you. If you go to conventions, what is your favorite convention memory? Or what is your favorite convention? If you don't go to conventions, why not? Is there something a convention could offer you that would make you interested in going to one? The two big ways, obviously, that we take that back talk is on Facebook. You can go to the Facebook community by going to thefamilygamers.com/community, or by going to Facebook and searching for the Family Gamers community. And the other way is by going to Discord.
You can get there by going to thefamilygamers.com/Discord to get an invite to the Family Tabletop community.
Of course, you can find the Family Gamers all over social media at Family Gamers AA for Andrew and Anitra. You can find us on Facebook, on X, Instagram, TikTok, and on YouTube.
All of these links are available in the podcast show notes for every single episode. So if you cannot remember where to go, look in your show notes or go to thefamilygamers.com, and all of it is there, including our email addresses, Anitra at thefamilygamers.com.
And Andrew at thefamilygamers.com. Always happy to get email from our listeners.
Mm-hmm.
Please don't forget to subscribe to the show, tell your friends about the show, and leave us a review at Apple Podcast or whatever your podcast subscription source is. You can find us on Amazon Music, TuneIn, Spotify, and even YouTube Music.
The Family Gamers is sponsored by First Move Financial. Go to firstmovefinancial.com/familygamers and learn how the team at First Move Financial can help you pile up the victory points.
All right, Anitra, next episode, we're going to announce another contest. We've got some stuff to give away, so we are going to announce that. So that'll be in 2 weeks. But until then, everybody,
play games with your kids.